everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie and I have created this very glowy lit from within makeup look with many tips and tricks on how to do. So if you'd like to see how I created this makeup look, just keep on watching. I'll begin by using this primer from Becca, and because of this lilac shade that it has, it's just going to really help illuminate and brighten dull skin, and it will give us a great base for the glowy skin. So before foundation, I'll use another Becca product. I'm going to apply on the very high points of the face, and I'll begin by applying it on the very top part of the cheekbones, on top of the brow. And that way, when we apply foundation, this will just give an extra glow to the skin. On top of the lips and a tiny bit on the nose. And using your finger will just really help melt the product in the skin. Really nice and easy. What you can do as well is also apply it underneath the eyes, and that will just bring even more illumination to that area. For foundation, I'll use the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder foundation, and just using a buffing brush, I will begin by applying it onto the center part of the face and taking it down. And this foundation is very light. It has a light to medium finish, and it's great for every day. It's suitable for all skin types. And it just makes the face look really nice and radiant, even if you apply this by itself. To give that extra glow underneath the eyes, I will use this yellow corrector from MAC. It's just gonna really help correct the under eye area with this yellow pigment. So I'm just applying it onto the inner part and the outer part of the eyes. And using a buffing brush, I will just stipple that in. It will just help to really brighten the under eye, and when we apply concealer, it's just going to look even brighter. I will also use that on the high points of the face, and that will just help to brighten the skin even more. So exactly where we mainly use the highlighter, I'll be applying it onto the same areas, and using my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, I'll just melt it in the skin. So that way it will just give us that extra illumination onto the skin, and it would look more glowy and a lot brighter as well. For concealer, I'll use my Dior concealer, and just taking a tiny bit onto the bottom part, and using again my same Real Techniques brush and just blending that in. And whatever is left on the top. And this concealer is again one of my favorites at the moment. It's just really nice light coverage, and it's quite creamy, so it does sit really nicely on the skin. Now for bronzer, I'll take this Hourglass bronzer in Radiant Light, and this bronzer is a bit shimmery as you can see, but the texture is very refined. So using just a big fluffy brush, taking a tiny bit of that bronzer and just warming up the skin a tiny bit onto the outer part of the face. Now although this is a very glowy tutorial, I still want to apply a little bit of bronzer, but because this is not matte, it will just really help enhance the glow, and we don't want a whole face very shimmery, so we're trying to find that balance that will give us both the glow but would still look matte enough to look nice. What's also special about this powder is because it has very little particles of shimmer, it wouldn't make the face look flat. So this is something that I really like about this product. With a crease brush, I'll use the same bronzer and I'll apply a tiny bit onto the crease of the eyes. And again, it will just add a tiny bit of warmth and a glow to the eyes, but it will also help set our concealer. So onto my favorite technique for blusher. I'll be using today the MAC New Romance, and this blusher is quite pinky and very shimmery as well. But what I'll do is I'll take my blusher brush, load my product, just make sure the brush is quite fluffy, and I'll take my MAC Fix Plus and just spray one spritz and just very gently apply it onto the skin. And that way, because the blusher will be a tiny bit wet, it will just apply it in a very, very radiant finish, and it's not gonna sit on the skin very powdery. So it is a really, really nice way to apply blusher if you want something nice and radiant and fresh. If you apply too much, you can use your either foundation brush or concealer brush and just further melting it into the skin, just like that. So I'm just doing this around the blush, so I'm not doing it in the center, but more around it like that. Now for a bit of highlight, I will use this Loreal highlighter, and it's a very nice pinky peachy color. I will do exactly the same technique with what I did with the blusher. Using a small brush, I'll take a tiny bit of that, spray it 1 to 2 times with my MAC Fix Plus, and applying it onto the very high points of the cheeks. And back to taking some more and spraying. I will also take a little bit of the highlighter on the top of my brows, on the bridge of the nose, and a tiny bit on top of the lip. Even though this is a very glowy makeup tutorial, I'm still going to take some powder just because I have combination skin. So I'll use a little bit of my Charlotte Tilbury powder, and just on the center of the face, very gently apply a tiny bit. I will apply it a tiny bit on around the nose, because this is the area we get most sweaty. So just round here, and a tiny bit on the bottom. Onto some brows, I'll be using my Benefit Gimme Brow, and just a tiny bit, just to literally make the brows look more defined, but without making them look too much. I want the focus of that makeup to be the skin more than anything. So just a little secret is, if you have very thin brows, what you can do is take the same product and go upside down and then do the other way around, and that way the product sticks underneath the hair, so when you brush over again, it just helps to keep the product beneath, and it just gives it a little bit of volume. So it actually really, really works, and it does look amazing if you have that issue. I'll be using the same highlighter as an eyeshadow and just using a very flat brush. Again, I will that time spray before I apply it onto the highlighter, and I'll pick up some of that product and just using it onto the mobile lid. And I would like to focus it more onto the inner corner of the eyes, because this is the area that it needs most brightening. So this highlighter is a bit more pinky, so it will help to really disguise and brighten any dark circles on the lid. And just using the same product and just applying it underneath the brow. And you can intensify that, of course. If you want, you can add a second layer on it. If you don't have the same highlighter color, what you can do is just use an eyeshadow that you might have, and it would do exactly the same result. I'll use this eyeshadow from Kiko, and it's a very, very pretty pinky brown, very, very metallic eyeshadow. And using the other side of my brush, I will just take a tiny bit, and this time I'm not gonna wet it. I will just place it on the other half of the lid, and with very, very gentle strokes I will take it a bit higher, and that way it will just give that really nice gradient look. If you want to intensify it, then you can of course wet this as well. And as I'm blending, I'll make sure I connect it and blend it really seamlessly with the other shades. And make sure when you finish, open up your eyes so you can see exactly where you're applying the color, and with very, very gentle strokes you want to blend it in with the rest. If you find that you need, you can go back to your blending brush and just blend everything together. Very, very softly. Just like that. Using a nude pencil from Charlotte Tilbury, I will line the inside of the eyes, and that way it will just help make the eyes look a little bit bigger. I'll be taking this Maybelline pencil, and it's a very pretty champagne-y shimmery shade, and just applying this onto the inner part of the lower eye area, and that way it will just help intensify the glow. If you don't have this pencil, you can use the same highlighter by wetting the brush, but in that case you'll just have to use a smaller brush so you can have more control of where you apply the color. I want to give some extra sparkle to the eyes, so I'll use this product from Collection 2000, and what it is just very, very small particles of shimmer, and I'll show you now the back of my hand. It looks like this, and just using my fingers I will place it just on the lid, and that way it will just give that really nice extra glow to the eyes. You can of course use this product by itself without applying all the rest of the shadows that we did. For today's mascara, I'll be using a very different mascara than other times, and this is more of a purple mascara. And what I really like about this is that it just really looks a lot more natural, and will still give you definition but without making it look very strong. So applying quite a few layers of this mascara, and try and separate your lashes at the same time. So starting from the root of the lashes, wiggling it upwards. It just still helps and gives quite a lot of color and definition without making it look very strong. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I really want to keep the focus on the glow and not too much on defining the eyes. For lipstick, I'll take back my nude pencil that I used on the eyes, and I'm just going to line the top part of the lip, and that way it will just help to really bring even more highlighted effect to the lip. So very, very gently on that top part, and on both sides of course. And using my finger, I'm just going to melt that into the skin. I'll use just a lip gloss, and I'll take that one from Too Faced, and it's just a very nice sheer pinky color with a tiny bit of color in it, and apply that onto the whole lip area. For the last step of the makeup, if you want to take this whole look to the next level and make it even more glowy, I'll be taking this product from Elizabeth Arden, and it's the 8-Hour Cream. And this is a very, very balmy texture, so a little bit like Vaseline but just nicer. I'll use some on the back of my hand, and using my fingers I will tap that onto the very high points that we applied earlier our highlighter, and it will just give the skin that nice wet look. So if you don't want that very glowy look, you can just skip that step, but just today we want that extra glow. So you can see how much glow that product gives you, and if you don't have that product you can just use some Vaseline and it would give you the exact same result. So this is the finished look of this very radiant glowy makeup tutorial. I hope you liked it, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. See you in my next video.